Hello, welcome to the Learn English Lab.
Hi there.
Today we're doing a deep dive into the everyday reality of, well, learning English.
Yeah, what it actually looks like day in, day out.
Exactly. Imagine trying to navigate your entire day using a new language. We're going to explore the lives of 3 different people, all on their own English learning journeys.
It's fascinating, really, how varied those journeys can be, even though the goal fluency is sort of the same.
It really is. So first up, we've got Aisha. She's a beginner in Nairobi, and English is becoming, well, pretty essential for her new life there.
Okay.
Then there's Carlos. He's in Mexico City, more intermediate level, and he's really focused on using English to get ahead in his tech career.
Right, the professional angle. Very common motivation.
And finally, Miness. She's in London, an advanced student, and her aim is seamless integration, fitting into academic life and social life.
So mastering the nuances at that point.
Precisely. And as you said, each one faces, their own unique challenges and uses different strategies.
Completely different worlds in some ways.
So our goal today is to understand the common threads, yes, but also the specific hurdles they face, sort of hour by hour. Let's start with Aisha's morning, maybe, in that Nairobi Community Center.
Okay, Aisha. So the first thing that strikes you is probably the environment, right? It's a shared space. Resources might be limited.
Yeah, that really emphasizes the constraints she's working with.
Definitely. But her day kicks off with reviewing English words. That tells you something about her dedication right away.
It does, and it highlights something fundamental, doesn't it? Especially early on. Consistent work with vocabulary is just, need that foundation.
Absolutely essential.
Her most prized possession, apparently, is this well-thumbed English-Somali dictionary. That and a notebook just packed with new words.
Classic tools, still effective.
And her morning routine involves just quietly practicing sounds. Words like hope, dream, future. She's really trying to mimic the intonation she heard from her teacher.
And that repetition, it might seem simple, but it's actually crucial, isn't it? You're building muscle memory for the sounds, the rhythm of English.
You really are.
It's not just memorizing words, it's internalizing the phonetics. Later, she's in her English class, run by a local NGO, and the focus is super practical. Basic greetings.
Like, how are you?
Exactly. The teacher uses pictures, gestures, making it as clear as possible. But even with phrases like, thanks, Aisha hits a common wall pronunciation, that D sound.
The classic the. That's textbook phonetic interference, isn't it? When sounds from your native language, like Somali in her case, just don't map onto the new language.
Precisely. Somali doesn't have that sound, so it takes real conscious effort. And she even writes it down as sounding like tanks, which shows her actively trying to figure it out to bridge that gap.
Yeah, she's problem solving. It shows how much cognitive work goes into just learning a new sound.
And it's not just the physical sound production, there's the hurdle of actually speaking in front of others.
Right, the confidence factor.
When she practices introducing herself to a classmate, Fatima, her voice apparently trembles a bit. But the encouragement she gets back, that's so important.
Oh, hugely. That kind of peer interaction in a supportive space lets you experiment without feeling judged. It lowers the anxiety.
You need that safety net, especially as a beginner. Making mistakes has to feel okay.
Totally. So after class, she actually takes the initiative. She asks about a word she heard. Application. Finds out it means, a request for a job or school place. And learning that word sparks real hope for her, thinking about a scholarship.
That's powerful, connecting language directly to life goals.
By 9 a.m., she's back in her dorm, going over her notes again, voice getting a bit stronger with each try. So her morning, it's all about foundations, tackling sounds, building confidence, all with limited resources.
A real picture of beginner challenges and determination. Okay, so now let's shift gears to Carlos in Mexico City, intermediate level.
Right, Carlos. And immediately you see how the challenges change as you get better. The pressure points are different, especially with work.
His day starts with work emails. So English is right there, first thing.
And he's got a team meeting coming up with an American colleague, and that triggers anxiety about his speaking. He can read English okay, but speaking, that's harder.
The receptive productive lag. So common. Understanding comes first, producing fluently takes longer.
Exactly. So his routine includes Duolingo, focusing on past tense verbs. He likes the app for grammar, vocab.
Yeah, they can be good for that structured learning.
But he feels it doesn't really hit the mark for speaking practice. which points to something important, right? You usually need a mix of approaches.
Definitely. Apps are one tool, but not the whole toolbox. He then switches to a podcast, All Ears English, over breakfast.
Good choice.
The topic is small talk, something he finds kind of tricky.
Join the club, even for native speakers sometimes.
Right. But he's actively listening, jotting down weather as a possible starter for his next language exchange. That shows real proactivity. He's identifying a weakness and looking for solutions.
He is. He's not just passively learning. He's targeting specific communication skills he needs.
And what's also interesting is he uses a company-provided virtual English course. This one focuses on professional email writing.
Ah, practical.
And he gets feedback like making his email closings warmer, which highlights, the cultural stuff that creeps into even business communication. How formal should you be?
Yeah, those subtle cues matter.
So by 10 a.m., he's actually rehearsing small talk phrases in his head, preparing for those interactions with English-speaking colleagues.
So Carlos's morning, balancing structured learning like apps and courses with prepping for real-world work communication and trying to get a handle on the speed and subtleties of native speech.
A very different set of challenges from Aisha's. Okay, London now. May, advanced learner.
Yes, May. And her morning immediately signals a higher level. She's reviewing lecture notes. Academic English is the focus.
But she's zooming in on the finer points, unfamiliar terms, pronunciation details. She's using online dictionaries not just for meaning, but specifically for British pronunciation.
Not just any English pronunciation.
Right, and noting it in her vocab app. That's typical advanced learning, isn't it? Refining, understanding context, usage, regional differences.
It's not just about knowing the word, but how it's used, how it sounds here.
Exactly. So she's prepping for a seminar discussion, watching a TED Talk, but she's not just watching. She's repeating complex sentences out loud, working on stress, intonation, trying to get that natural flow.
Mimicking native rhythm.
Then she joins a virtual study group. And here, she's confident. She contributes well to a discussion about a journal article. Her academic English is clearly strong.
Good for her.
But then a classmate uses an idiom, bit of a sticky wicket.
Yeah.
And that throws her. Even at an advanced level, these cultural idiomatic phrases can pop up and leave you stumped.
Oh, constantly. You can study for years and still hear things that make you go, huh. She makes a note to look it up later, Rick.
She does, which just shows language learning never really stops. There's always more. Then she uses a pronunciation app, fine-tuning words like schedule, focusing on those subtle British variations.
Right, getting those specific sounds just right.
By 9:30 a.m., she's off to campus, rehearsing seminar points in her head, maybe even humming a British pop song, trying to absorb the language rhythm more informally, too.
So May's morning, it's all about chasing near-native fluency, tackling tiny pronunciation differences, and navigating the tricky world of social and academic idioms.
It's really striking how each morning perfectly reflects their level and goals. Aisha, building foundations, Carlos, bridging the gap for work, May refining for total integration.
Okay, let's move into midday. What happens then? Back to Aisha.
Right, Aisha. Her late morning involves helping in the community center kitchen. But even while doing chores, she's mentally practicing English. Simple sentences about what she's doing.
That's a great technique, isn't it? Integrating practice into everyday tasks makes it more relevant, easier to remember.
Very effective, especially for beginners. Constant low-key exposure. Then an aid worker, James, mentions a scholarship.
Linking back to the application word.
Exactly. And Aisha shows real courage, asking him about the application. He explains, offers help, and you can see how motivating that is. She focuses on remembering application form.
That real-world interaction, even a short one, is invaluable. Practice, achievement, and tied to a real opportunity. That's gonna stick.
Definitely reinforces the vocabulary. After lunch, she's in an informal English circle. They play a game describing favorite foods. She starts simple, but with encouragement, adds a bit more. You can feel her pride.
Those little wins are so important for momentum.
By 1 p.m., she's back with her notebook, reinforcing everything. So midday for Aisha is about grabbing small communication opportunities, building confidence, and benefiting from that supportive, low-pressure environment.
Makes sense. Okay, Carlos is midday. Back to the office grind.
Pretty much. He's in a virtual stand-up meeting, using English for work right away.
High pressure.
And you see the hesitation when he's asked for an update? He answers, but later reflects on his word choice, feeling he wasn't quite precise. That anxiety about speaking in front of colleagues, Very relatable.
Oh yeah, that feeling of knowing what you want to say but not finding the exact right words fast enough, especially at work.
Exactly. So during his lunch break, what does he do? He proactively looks for resources, watches a YouTube video on workplace English phrases,
Smart move, targeting his need.
learns things like, I'm on track, I'll follow up, and practices them. It shows that self-directed approach. Identify the gap, find a tool, practice it.
He's actively trying to equip himself for those tricky work situations.
Then, later, his weekly English conversation club. Topic is travel. It's a more relaxed setting for speaking practice.
Good balance.
Although he still finds it a bit hard to elaborate sometimes, answer follow-up questions smoothly, but it's practice. By 2 p.m., he's back at work, maybe feeling slightly more ready with those new phrases.
So, Carlos's midday. Juggling real-time work, demands in English, actively seeking out practical language tools, and getting speaking practice in a safer space.
A real mix of pressure and preparation. Okay, May's midday.
May. Academic life continues. She's in a seminar. She understands the complex stuff, the terminology. But she's still listening closely for pronunciation nuances. Then a classmate says something casual like, spot on, May.
Ah, another colloquialism.
Yeah. And for a moment, she's not quite sure what spot on means. It just shows, again, even when you're advanced, you're still decoding the informal stuff.
It never ends, especially with British English, maybe. Lunch with classmates, conversation turns to British TV shows. May joins in.
Good, getting involved.
But then someone uses slang ledge to describe a TV personality, like legend, right? But she's unsure again, makes a mental note.
See, more decoding needed.
So she uses her library break to actually research slang, looks at online news articles, adds terms to her vocab app.
Actively hunting down the informal language.
By 2 p.m., she's practicing these new phrases, trying to integrate them. So May's midday involves handling academic English, but also this active effort to learn and use the more informal, culturally specific language.
It's really impressive how proactive they all are, isn't it? Each finding ways to tackle their specific weaknesses throughout the day.
Absolutely. Okay, afternoon stretch. Let's start with Aisha again.
Aisha's afternoon, helping with cleaning at the center, but still practicing English in her head, reinforcing simple sentences.
That consistent mental rehearsal, even with basics, is so key for building fluency and just feeling more comfortable. Low stakes, high repetition.
Then a storytelling session. She shares something simple at first, but gets a little encouragement, tries to add more, makes a small grammar mistake, and everyone laughs, but in a good way.
Ah, that's important. That shared laughter can really lower the anxiety about errors. Makes it okay to try.
Creates a relaxed learning vibe. Later, she meets James, the aid worker, again about that scholarship form.
Right, the applicant.
She struggles to understand a question, but he breaks it down, helps her focus on her dreams, her aspirations.
Personalized support makes a huge difference.
He helps her craft and memorize a key sentence about her goals.
Yeah.
By the end of the afternoon, she's tired, but she's holding on to that hope, practicing her sentence.
So her afternoon, supportive guidance, building basic sentences, and tackling the anxiety around a more formal task like that form.
Really shows the impact of encouragement.
Okay, Carlos's afternoon.
Back in the team meeting, and he deliberately uses one of those phrases he learned at lunchtime.
Nice. Small win.
A small win, but meaningful, shows the practice paying off. But inevitably, he runs into unfamiliar technical jargon.
Always something new in tech.
So right after the meeting, he's researching those terms. That immediate just-in-time learning is super effective for professionals. Need it now, learn it now.
Absolutely. Then more targeted learning. A LinkedIn learning course on business English, practicing negotiation phrases.
Upping his professional game. And he also joins a virtual Toastmasters club. Structured environment for public speaking practice. Gets feedback on speaking too fast, maybe.
Useful feedback, though. Helps with clarity.
Yeah.
By the end of the afternoon, he's reviewing, preparing for the next interaction.
So Carlos's afternoon. Applying new learning immediately, constantly expanding that work vocabulary, and seeking ways to improve his delivery. Really bridging learning and workplace reality.
He's working hard on that specific skill set. And finally, May's afternoon.
May attends another lecture, still noting terms for pronunciation practice later.
Diligent.
During the Q&A, she asks a good question, but the response includes some informal slang again. And again, she makes a mental note.
It's that constant exposure to different registers, formal academic, informal chat. Advanced learning is about navigating all of that.
She then joins a campus debate club. Great practice. She successfully uses some of the academic vocab she's been working on.
Excellent application.
But also encounters more debate-specific jargon. More to learn.
Always more.
And to balance the formal stuff, she watches a British TV show specifically to soak up colloquial language and humor, still noting down unfamiliar slang.
Using media strategically. Very common, very useful.
By the end of her afternoon, she's actively practicing the new slang and idioms. So, May's afternoon. Confident academic engagement mixed with actively decoding informal language from various sources, always refining.
Yeah, it's clear that for all three, the afternoon is about deepening skills through active use and tackling communication challenges head-on as they arise.
Okay, so the day's winding down. Let's look at their evenings. Aisha first.
Aisha, dinner with dorm mates. She manages to use a basic phrase. She's been practicing another small success.
Building confidence bit by bit.
Then she watches a simple English cartoon. Good way to reinforce basic vocabulary in a low-stress way.
Visual context helps too.
Her evening also involves reviewing notes and actually working on that scholarship application, getting help from a dorm mate to polish her writing.
Using all available resources, including peer support.
By bedtime, she's still mentally rehearsing sentences, just constant reinforcement. Her evening really shows using everything available, cartoons, friends, to keep the learning going.
That commitment is key. Carlos's evening.
Carlos unwinds with an American sitcom. More exposure to informal language, humor. But he's aware, that sitcom talk isn't necessarily workplace talk.
Good distinction to make.
He also joins a virtual book club, offers a chance for deeper discussion, more complex language, though he apparently gets some feedback on pronunciation again.
Always something to work on.
He finishes up by writing a practice email, reviewing his day's learning. So his evening mixes cultural immersion through media with higher-level language practice and review.
A well-rounded end to the day. And
May's evening involves a social activity, a pub quiz with classmates. And here, she successfully uses some of that slang she learned.
Brilliant. Must feel great.
Yeah, a real sense of fitting in, belonging. But she also does focused study, reviewing notes, practicing pronunciation.
Still discipline.
And she ends her day journaling in English, reflecting on her progress, consolidating new vocabulary.
That active reflection is so valuable at an advanced stage.
Absolutely. Her evening really highlights that balance between social immersion, using the language naturally, and continued focused study.
So as you've heard, a day in the life of an English learner is just packed, isn't it? Really filled with purpose.
It truly is. From Aisha just practicing basic greetings,
to May navigating really complex academic points and subtle social cues, and Carlos in the middle juggling work communication and dedicated study. It underscores the constant effort involved.
And think about the range of resources they use. Donated dictionaries, community classes, sure, but also language apps, podcasts, YouTube, sitcoms.
Yeah, everything becomes a potential learning tool.
Each one plays a part.
And those small victories we talked about, Aisha asking about the application, Carlos nailing that workplace phrase, May understanding, or even using some British slang.
Those moments are crucial. They really fuel you to keep going.
They really do. So the journey, as we've seen through Aisha, Carlos, and May, it clearly demands resilience, adaptability too.
And a willingness to just embrace mistakes. Right. See them as part of the process, not failures.
Absolutely fundamental. Well, if you found these insights into the daily lives of English learners valuable,
we hope you did.
Please do like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel.